Hi, everyone. Welcome to Beacons of Balance. Join us here every Wednesday where we share insights to help bring balance to the hectic lives that we live in. And then every first Wednesday of the month, I do a prayer healing meditation for all of us. So join in and gather and share. I would like to introduce, of course, my wonderful co-host, Joanne. And we have a
Hi, everyone.
very exciting show today, right, Joanne?
Oh, it's going to be wonderful.
We have on with us Mary Albanese, and she's a returning guest. You could go into our archives on April 3rd and look for that episode. And that's when Mary first came on talking about pets. Mary is with Zen Zoo, animal communication, right? And healing therapies.
And energy work, yeah.
Energy work. Healing therapies, energy work. It's the same in one. Okay. Joanne, take it away from me, please.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is a very exciting episode. And, there are many pet owners out there. So this is a very important, especially around the holidays now.
Yeah,
So,
for holidays.
Mary, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're delighted. So tell us, Mary, how did you get involved, with working with these beautiful, I call them the four-legged angels.
They are. They truly are.
They are.
I retired from teaching in 2014 and thought I would embark on something that involved animals, but I was certainly thinking of a more conventional route. But I did get into energy work and I started down the Reiki path, became a Reiki master. And for me, that kind of reopened my intuitive conduit. And it was my Reiki master teacher who said to me, "You should really work on animals." And I said, "I don't think I know enough." And so I Googled animal energy work. So I connected with a woman from California who does this for a living and met with her in person subsequently at a weekend workshop that went on from Thursday to Sunday. And in between sessions, she said to me, "You're really good at this. You should really consider studying this. I have a school for people like you." And I came back to Connecticut completely on fire and decided this was the path I wanted to take. I gave her a large sum of money. Never realized when I did that she was actually one of the top animal communicators in the world.
Wow.
So I was mentored by her for the greater part of 18 months, shuttled back and forth from here in Connecticut to California, did a lot of Zoom when Zoom was not Zoom, when it wasn't as important as it had become for us. And I have not looked back since.
That's
Fabulous.
wonderful. Boy, talking about, that was divine intervention, right?
Wasn't it?
The doors
It
open.
really was.
Yeah,
And they still
saying,
do.
Teacher, the master arrives when the student's ready. The teacher arrives.
That's exactly right.
Right.
That's true.
That is exactly right.
What we're going to focus on this episode, because we're in holiday time now. It's a stressful time for all of us, of course. We take out for hosting parties or whatever. And those of us that, have pets with us or whatever, they pick up, of course, they read us, right, Mir? So they read us.
Absolutely.
What are the main things to do to distress your pet during the holiday times?
One of the things you want to do, you want to set your pets up for success. In other words, know what their triggers are and avoid them at all costs. Does your dog react to loud noises or unexpected movement, sudden movement, small children, other animals, unfamiliar people, or a lot of people? All of those can be really stressful to our pets. They're stressful to us sometimes, and our pets are like us. And so you want to make sure that you take care of your pets and prioritize them and don't just let them get caught up in the shuffle. Keep the lines of communication open with them. And I know that may sound to some people really bizarre, but talk to them. Tell them what's going on. Tell them what's happening. Tell them who's coming so that they're prepared. Use positive visualization. Show them what you want them to do versus what you don't want them to do. Because that is all communication, whether you get something in response or not. You can still, as a responsible pet parent, keep your pet informed and let them know what's going to be happening and how many people are going to be there, people are going to be going in and out, and where the pet will be. Where's the best location for them, physical location in your house? Um, because a lot of times you're better off creating a safe space for them. We all like our pets to be part of our gatherings, but for some pets, it's extremely, extremely stressful. So you don't want to force your pet to participate. So you may want to put them someplace else.
Right.
Right.
Mary, I have a question.
Sure.
My son and my daughter-in-law just adopted a beautiful dog, and we think that he may have come from an abusive family.
Mhm.
And we can't figure out why this is, but when my husband and I go there to visit, and it's in the summertime, and we have those ice coolers outside, when we have barbecues. If my husband and I approach this ice cooler where the beer or the cold drinks are, this dog guards this cooler and just growls. And if we even attempt to get a drink, he'll bite us. And I was like, it's the craziest thing. I can't figure this out. And anybody who knows me knows I have a very gentle, loving energy. I don't come off like I'm fearful of this dog. And it's really hard to visit there because they have to put him upstairs in the bedroom. And it's like,
Yep.
how do you get around this?
Well, that dog has a really good reason for that behavior, Joanne.
Yeah.
And likely it's something in the dog's past that is what you're doing, the movements that you're making are reminiscent of that. And that's reminding that dog. And the dog starts to guard.
Wow.
To have a conversation with that dog would be very interesting to find out where the circumstance was and what happened,
Right.
to make the dog that way, because dog is making a choice and
Right.
it's based on past practice, past experience.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of people that come to me, who've newly adopted pets want to know, well, can you tell me about the background? I was working with a dog today who had already crossed, but the woman had taken him in 4.5 years ago and didn't really know too much about his past. And she wanted to know, why did he act in certain ways? And we were able to find out a good bit of information, actually, from the dog. Yeah.
What do you do when you're in a situation visiting? You're the guest, you're visiting, and the people just don't know how to handle their dog because their dog, they rule the house, in other words.
Right.
So they're jumping on you and barking on you, and you want to you try
Yeah.
to. What do you do as the guest? I mean, what do you do? And because they don't want to remove,
Yeah.
some people don't want to remove their. It's like having bad children, as we all
It
know.
is.
The
It
kids
is.
could be screaming, throwing food at you.
I
Any
try to do
suggestions?
practical things with that. I put my guard up so that the dog is not approaching me, but I also try to work with the dog
Yeah,
and
yeah.
distract them and get them to behave more appropriately. It's hard. You're right, though. It's like when people have kids that are fresh and they come to visit and you don't want to step on anybody's toes, but by the same token, you don't want a
Yeah,
house wrecking,
for a miserable
you
time.
know?
Yeah.
So you have to be, and especially as a guest, you have to be a little judicious in what you do and selective, but it is possible to help and kind of put the dog in a different direction.
Isn't it better in that type of situation? I mean, I don't know how you feel about crating or taking
No,
them
I do.
out of the
I
room
absolutely.
or putting them in
When
another.
I speak about creating a safe space for them and setting your pets up for success, yeah, we want them there, but you know what? Sometimes they don't react well to it. It is stressful. There's a lot of people, there's kids, there's noise, there's a lot of food, a lot of movement. And some pets, they don't like that stuff. They don't react well to it. And
Yeah.
so for me, keep them in a separate room. Put them behind a gate or behind a closed door. Make sure they have their food. Make sure they have their toys and their water because it's safer for them. And the crate is a definite good thing to use. It's not prison, right? Pets are animals who den and they like their own space. So for them, it's a safe space. If they don't like confusion and noise, they have to have that safe space to relocate to. And don't let your guests go and see them. because some people I've had the experience will say, I just want to see leave the dog alone. The dog's calm. Let's not interfere.
Will they eventually stop if you have a barker? Will they
Yes,
eventually stop like a crying baby?
absolutely.
People are, don't let the
I
baby.
used to use, and I still do actually use a lot of white noise, meditation music or white noise, rain sounds, crickets, whatever, calming noises, or put the TV on or radio, because all of that is beneficial. It's a buffer to all that outside noise, because you're right. They are going to bark. They are going to react to all the noise outside. Uh, if you have a pet who's anxious, you need to take steps to deal with that anxiety before your first guest arrives. And there's a lot of ways. There are natural remedies. There are prescriptive remedies. You talk to your vet and be ready, because otherwise, it will disrupt you, and it's really going to give your pet a lot of discomfort that can be avoided. Uh, if you don't want to use a homeopathic remedy or prescriptive remedy, give them a shirt or something that belongs to you that you've worn that isn't washed. You might want to wrap them in it, similar to the way you swaddle a baby, because that's comforting. And so all of those things can help set your pet up for success and meet the challenge.
Can you share, are there, talking about, like, I know they have rescue remedy for people. I think they might have.
Right? They have it for pets as
Have
well.
anything, since this is your expertise, do you have one that's, maybe you could share with the listeners that's a good one that really
I'll
works
tell you,
to
and
others?
I'm going to tell you from personal experience, rescue remedy can be helpful. I've also had success in the past with some of my dogs with something called Elevet, ELLEVET. And that was recommended to me, that brand, by a veterinarian, because it's a CBD
Oh, really?
supplement. Yep.
Get the dog.
And
So they can take it.
let's face it. I mean,
Lots dog.
Get your dog high.
They'll be like,
you can buy CBD in gas stations. And I had a dog that was really, really anxious, especially when we had company. And to me, it was mean to make him go through that. And so I spoke with one of the vets that I worked with and asked, what recommendations. And she was the person who suggested this brand Elevet to me. It comes as a tincture.
What is it?
ELLEVET. You can get it on. Yep, you can get it online. It comes as a tincture, or it comes as a chew, and it doesn't smell the greatest. But I'm not the one taking it, but I did smell it. And for my dog, the tincture worked the best. I would mix it into pumpkin puree, plain pumpkin, and he loved it. And he would lick it up, and that way he had his dose. And it's very easy to use, because on the bag or on the bottle, it tells you how much per weight. But go talk with your vet, make sure it wouldn't interact with anything else your pet might be taking, just to be certain you're not double dosing or whatever.
Right.
Mary,
but go ahead.
Have you ever heard of those? I think they call them thunder shirts, where it's some kind of
yes,
would
exactly,
that help?
exactly, yes, certainly. If you have a dog who just needs that comforting thing, that's the same as wrapping your shirt around your pet.
Sure.
A thunder shirt, that's a commercial brand for it, but it gives that hug, that reassurance that you're looking for, because they do help. I used to use it with one of my dogs, and it worked.
So they do work.
Truly, truly helped. Yeah, it did.
Cool.
It really did. Wrapping is like a hug, and that's what a thunder shirt is. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Cool. Yeah.
If you decide you want your pet at your gathering, you really have to be responsible. Either you or a designated family member has to be the one who's going to watch over that pet, and the whole time people are there. And I can't emphasize that enough. Unfortunately, a large part of my practice is lost pets. Pets who run away, pets who get outdoors. Accidents happen. That's what you want to avoid, because, if you have a lot of people going in and out of your house, there's a lot of confusion. Don't assume your guests are going to watch your dog or your cat and keep track of them. somebody specifically has to have that job and that's their only job.
Right.
People get distracted. They get clumsy. You're walking around with a drink and a plate of food. You don't want somebody to trip over your dog and everybody gets hurt. Your dog gets hurt.
Right.
A cat gets stepped on. Your guest breaks an arm or a leg. We don't need that. Holidays are tough enough sometimes. And so you
Exactly.
want somebody to watch out for that pet and watch out for your pet's best interests. I
Right.
mean, oh, goodness, accidents happen. People open doors and the cat darts out. And oh boy, now I get calls. Every year I gear that I'm going to have the holiday off. And invariably I will get a call about a lost pet. Pets go missing. They get off their leashes, they run away, or they're let outside and nobody pays attention. They forget they're out there. And next thing you know, they're not there anymore. Or they break through a fence. There's a crack in your fence and you don't realize. Or they pull out of their collar, or they take off, because somebody's not holding tightly enough to the leash. There's a lot of scenarios, in the run up to the holiday, in addition to everything else that you have to do to make sure your pet has tags, make sure that your pet is chipped, because heaven forbid the worst thing happens, you at least have done that. And if you're traveling, you have to be vigilant, even in your car. I can't tell you how many lost pets that I've worked with who've gotten out of cars. People pull into the gas station. They open the door because they're going to get gas. There could be a carload of people. And the next thing you know, Fido escapes and takes off. And we don't always get them back. They're in unfamiliar territory.
Especially in the area that I live, we have a lot of coyotes. And I
was just going to say, predators are such a risk.
You've lost a lot of pets to coyotes. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, we have bears, we've got coyotes, we've got fox, we've got all sorts of animals. We've got fisher cats.
Yeah,
we've got it all.
We have the big bobcat. I mean, someone took a video. Oh my God, the thing was huge. It looked like a lion.
Arlene,
So
you have
really,
bobcats
it's up
where you are?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a video. So
We
my
do.
son, just a mile and a half away from here where I live.
Oh my gosh.
And it was huge. It wasn't like a little oversized cat. This was big. It would scare the bejesus out of me if I saw it go running.
Wow,
We
I
have
didn't
so
know
many
they were
bears too.
Yeah. We have bears
in Connecticut.
Oh,
We have a huge bear population.
In the summer,
Really?
they jump. In the summer, they jump in people's pools and they go swimming with their.
Oh my gosh!
No,
I know the
even
coyotes.
It's terribly difficult, but you have to keep an eye on your pets, and you've got to be hyper vigilant.
Yeah,
I mean, I had a case. This was several years ago, and this was really sad. This young woman called me. She had taken her little terrier out into the backyard on a leash for its nightly stroll. And a coyote came out, and predators are predators. They're going to do what they do. You can't be angry with them for acting like what they are.
Sure.
This coyote popped out and pulled the dog away from her. And it was a little dog. And she said to me, "Do you think, I'm so afraid he's out there?" And I said, "No, he's not. I don't think he's out there. I don't want to charge you and do a lost pet package with you because I think it's, we're not going to be able to do anything good."
Wow.
Because, and that was at the end of a 6-foot leash. So as the pet parent or caregiver, you've got to be super responsible and super aware of your surroundings. It's heavily wooded where I am, and I have a 6-foot barrier fence for my dog because that to me gives me a little bit more reassurance, but I still take him out on a leash after dark.
Wow.
When I really can't see what's out there with me.
They say that coyotes can even jump, 6-foot fences easily.
They can scale a fence. I mean, I actually considered putting coyote rollers on my fence, which are what they sound like. They're cylinders that spin.
Also.
Yeah, because they can climb as well.
Over a fence. Yeah.
So I have considered those. I mean, I'm there with him, but, maybe one coyote, I'm okay. But if it's more than one, I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah, they travel in packs here.
They do.
Literally.
They do. And they do here too, Joanne. They do here too.
Yeah.
So, you've got to make sure that your pet is secure and safe. And that's your job at the end of the day. It's nobody else's, job. You've got to be the responsible one. The other thing too, and I know I'm talking to two ladies who do the same thing, I'm sure. We have all kinds of goodies and good food for
Mhm.
our holidays. Don't let anybody but yourself or your designated pet person feed your pet, because some foods can actually be toxic.
Yeah.
You know, I
Chocolate.
mean,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, your well-meaning uncle or your grandmother slipping the dog or the cat food under the table,
Right.
it might not be a good idea. You know,
Right.
might not be a good idea because, yeah, even though it's a holiday, human food is still at the end of the day human food. So you have to be really judicious about letting your pets eat.
Yeah.
You know, everything is tempting to them, and certainly your pet's not going to refuse it.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, and some of our foods they can eat. You know, fruits are okay for them if
Mhm.
you take the skin off, if you take the seeds out. You know, a little bit of turkey, white meat turkey, not a lot of fat, but you have to be uber conscious of the fat content and the sugar content because
Yeah.
they're too high for them to digest.
Especially like grapes and raisins can
Oh,
create
those are
all
definite
kinds.
no. Yeah.
Even
All
garlic,
the
onions,
years,
chives,
garlic and
you
onions,
know?
all the years that we used raisins to train. No, that was a big no,
Yeah.
you know?
I find it's
Um,
usually the little ones, like the 3-year-olds that, because they're so loving.
yeah,
Um, I think the adults
absolutely.
know, but
I
gotta
mean,
be careful.
carrots are fair game. Celery is fair game.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and those are treats. I mean, I give my dog carrots all the time. He likes frozen blueberries. He has those.
Mhm.
But you know, I'm careful about how much I give him. You
Yeah.
know?
And the other thing we have to be, and I'm sure, well, you would think audience listeners that have pets would be aware of, but with the holidays, with a live tree or poinsettia plant,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other plants also that are toxic for
Right.
Yeah,
animals.
I mean, you really do have to be super conscientious.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, you are the adult, you
right.
know? I mean, I work with a lot of people to get their pets ready for gatherings. Probably the best advice I can say to people again is know what triggers your pet and try to avoid them. Make sure you're doing as much as possible to avoid your pet getting into a situation where they're very anxious and they respond negatively to it.
Mhm.
Um, you know, when I work with people, I always start with communication because I want to know what are these triggers, what are your pet's likes, what are their dislikes, um, and I kind of work from there. And it, you know, helps people because they gain insight they might not necessarily have. And
Mhm.
then, you know, the energy work also helps a great deal to get pets ready. I use a lot of different modalities, bioscalar wave, chakra clearing and cleansing,
Mhm.
EFT tapping. You know, all of those are pretty good help help our pets and get them kind of where we want them to be on a more
Mhm.
even keel. You know, help them achieve their balance in a better
Sure.
way.
How do you
And
feel
even
about oh,
uh,
I'm sorry, go ahead,
oh,
Julian.
go ahead, Ari.
No, I was gonna say, how do you feel about, and I just got it from my, daughter and son-in-law's dog. They just rescued another husky who
The
barked
escape artists.
and bark, bark. But, I got this device that I came across. It's called Bark-a-Buddy. It's about that long, and it's a trainer too. So I
Yes.
guess it's a frequency that they hear, but you don't hear. And when have you had any success? Do you know about that particular?
I've never used that myself.
Uh-huh.
The closest I ever came to anything like that was I used a collar that gave off vibration, and that was to train my dog to do a long distance come or recall.
Okay.
And it worked. I only ever had to do it once because he hated
Yeah.
it. And so from then on, you know, we were fine. He did long distance come
A
with no
little
problem.
shock, little shack,
You know,
Yeah,
little
it was a
taser to the
vibration. It
dog,
was a little buzz.
a
Yeah, it
little
was a little
taser.
buzz, and it probably was annoying enough to him that he was like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna learn this behavior really quick."
I know
He
this is
was like,
gonna sound strange, but when my, well, you remember Christopher, my older son, when they first got their very first apartment in downtown Chicago, everything is right on top of one another. And they had these dogs that lived next door to them that barked incessantly. I mean, and they're big dogs. They were watchdogs. And they would just never stop, and he would talk to the owners. So what my son found out, and this was really interesting, and it worked for him. They said, take BBs and put them in a little tin can and just shake the BBs, and these dogs would stop barking. It was like, you don't have to use anything like electrical because it's not his dogs, but it worked. It was crazy,
Yeah,
but it worked.
some pets that
Yeah.
work for others it does. It's like anything. Some work and some
Yeah.
don't, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no is
Yeah.
a really useful tool.
That's
You know, I a couple of dogs ago, I had a Sheltie who just barked his full head off, and
Mhm.
it would start as soon as people came in the door, and it continued. And so I used a can with pennies in it, and I would just shake it and say no. And I didn't have to go like this to shake it continuously. I would just one good hard shake and just a strong, firm no. And it got to the point where all I had to do was pretend I was reaching for the can, and he would stop.
Yes, there's something
so
about
yeah,
that.
it does
tell
work.
ya.
It just it interrupts the behavior,
Right.
and
The other thing is
you redirect them.
right. The other thing is, as we enter the holiday season now, I've heard of dogs knocking over candles. So just
Yes.
really be aware of that.
You have to be aware of
Of
electrical
everything.
cords
Oh my.
because they will try.
Mhm.
I mean, you have to watch where a lot of people put those plug-in candles in their windows.
Yeah.
Watch where the cords are. If they're where they can reach them, and you have
Right.
a dog who's a chewer, it's probably not a good idea. You might want to get battery operated ones that you can put up in the windowsill with no cord. Even the tree. You don't want your dog drinking out of if you have a real tree, out of the tree stand,
Right.
because that has going to have sap in it, and that's not good for them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, at least once a year, I hear of somebody whose cat climbs the tree and knocks it over, because they're curious about that.
Yeah.
And then what about
yeah.
what about like in the winter now with all the salt? Doesn't it do something to their poor paws?
Absolutely. I use something called mushers, which is what they use on the paws of the dogs who do the Iditarod in Alaska.
Okay.
And it's a salve that coats their paw pads, and protects them.
Was it mushers?
Yeah,
it's a
mushers.
Mushers.
Yep. And MUSHER mushers.
I
And
thought
it's
it was. So it's actually a salve you put on. It's
it's
not
a
like
salve. It
it's
comes
not
in a
a
little
booty.
jar.
It's not like boots
Nope.
or anything.
No.
Oh,
Well, I
wow.
have those too. I have those too. I do. I have people get hysterical if I post pictures online with Louis wearing his red boots, but I do. I have they're rubberized boots. They're disposable, but we can get a couple of wears out of them. But when because they put all kinds of stuff on our streets and our sidewalks
Sure.
that they're probably not pet safe, and so I put the boots on him. The first time I did it, he was shocked and he was like, "I can't walk in these." And I said, "No, yes, you can. Come on, we're going to go outside." And that was the clue for him, was like, "Oh, outside? Okay, I'll wear these things." And he walks with them. He looks pretty comical. Looks cute, but they work. And like, even if I take him up to the park, I don't know what they're putting on, the track or anything to keep it clear. I put his boots on him. I mean, I know I'm a little overzealous sometimes with being cautious with my dog. I have paw wipes, and I will wipe his paws off when he comes in because I don't know what's out there, and I don't want him to lick them and get sick. But mushers, I swear by it. I'll be truthful. I use it myself if I'm going out running, which hasn't been lately. But I shattered my ankle a few months ago, so I haven't been running in a while. So, but I use it on my own feet, and it prevents blisters and calluses.
You put it on
Yes.
your bare foot.
Uh-huh.
Oh man.
I do.
Oh, and then you
And
put
then
your
I
foot
and then
in
I
the-
put my sock on,
Oh, okay.
and it really
So
reduces
it causes
the friction.
it eliminates. Oh wow.
Yeah, creates a barrier.
What is it made of?
And really, it's there's paraben, there's something that smells like camphor. It may actually be camphor in it.
Okay.
It's all natural ingredients, but I do still wipe it off his paws. But it creates a barrier, and
So you
honestly,
put it on
truthfully,
when
because I've tried it,
you put
it
it on,
works.
it goes out, and then you wipe it off when
and then I wipe it off when he comes in.
Is that good for the summer too? Because I know in the summer,
Yes,
that
it'll
the
also
pavement's
help with hot pavement.
or if they bring the dogs down to the beach or whatever.
Yeah, it'll also help with that. I was down in Florida, this is probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I was working with a tiger who is in a sanctuary, and he had kind of a malformed leg, and he would drag it. It wasn't, he couldn't pick it up appropriately, and so he had like a burn mark, almost like a rug burn on his paw. And I said to the woman, "Oh, you should put mushers on it, because it would get crusty and yucky." And she said she didn't know what mushers was. And she said, I don't think I've ever seen it. I said, "I'll send it to you." So when I got back to Connecticut, I sent her a jar of the mushers, and they used it with him, and it helped.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up about the heat because people don't realize how hot that asphalt actually gets. It
burn. Gets terrifically hot.
Oh my gosh. 120 degrees asphalt.
Yeah. And if you, the test is if you can't put your hand on the asphalt and leave it there for half a minute, then your pet shouldn't be on it.
Right.
Then it's too hot for your pet.
Right. And I find that bulldogs get overheated faster for some reason in the heat.
Yeah. I think it's because of the way that the facial construct.
Right.
It's harder for them to dispel the heat because they dispel their heat overheating and prevent overheating through panting.
Well, that's interesting.
So yeah.
So I do have did you have a question, or? Okay. This is one thing I've always, what is the difference between adopting a dog and actually owning a dog?
I don't think we own anybody. I think, well, actually, no, I'll take that back. My dog owns me. My dog owns me.
They own you. Because I often wonder, like, you can go to places and adopt. So, and I didn't know, like, what does that mean? Like, if you don't like it, you return it? So.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes a lot of the rescues that I work with will have dogs who come back or cats who come back 2 and 3 times because it's just not a good fit. Everybody that I work with, it's a rescue. They will make sure that the dog is cat tested, child tested. They undergo basic training before they are released to a family. But, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes the pet gets into a situation where it just doesn't work out.
I was wondering, for people that don't know anything about pets, what's the difference between if you say you adopted a pet or if you just outright bought it? Is it the same?
You're still taking on the responsibility. You're still bringing it into your home.
Still committed. Okay.
The saying is always adopt, don't shop, because we have such our shelters are so full.
Right.
But some people are looking for particular breeds or particular temperaments. So they may need to go to a breed specific rescue or shelter, which there are those. Or some people, like I work with a group, they're called International Paw Angels. They're based in San Francisco in China, and they rescue dogs and cats from the markets. And so they bring them to the United States and to California. So, everyone's heart is in the right place.
What do you mean the markets? You're talking markets where they're actually killing them?
Yes, where they're actually consumed. And these are, it's horrible in terms of what I see. I mean, these are purebred dogs, golden retrievers in cages.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough. So this group really does their best to get them out.
Oh,
wow. Well, I thought it was interesting that while we were talking about this, my younger son is texting me saying, "Mom, we're thinking of adopting a Siamese cat." And the society or whoever it is, they gave them my name as a reference.
Yes.
So it's good to know that they do check up on the families.
Oh, they do. They are scrupulous. They do home visits. They interview you. It's not enough just to go in and say, "Oh, here's the money. Let me take, somebody with me." You really they vet you.
Wow.
They really vet you carefully.
Hey, that's a good thing to know.
They should do that more for our children.
I know. It's true. I mean, it's not enough though to just have the desire. You have to be prepared and be able to take
It's
on
a
the
commitment.
responsibility.
There's a lot
It
of
truly
work.
is.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of fallout lately with pets being returned because people took them during COVID when they were home, and now that they have to leave their houses and go back to work, it's not working
Right.
out well. So a
Right.
lot of COVID babies are going
quick
back.
thing. I happen to be, I've always been a dog person, although we don't have any right now. But I did like, there was a cat next door to us that I bought her toys and everything, but I'm really not a cat person. And I think because they're too independent. And the other thing is, I really don't like cats. Could you train a cat? I mean, because they go up on
Yes,
everything. They go up on the
absolutely.
counter, and I just, I can't.
Yes, you can. You
Really?
can. You can train them. I mean, you can train anybody. I worked with a woman.
I don't know
Um,
about my third
I can't.
husband. I
I
don't
can't.
know
No, maybe not him. Um, but I worked with this woman recently who's a wildlife rehabber, and she had these 4 orphaned raccoons, and 2 were really ready to be released, but the other 2 were incredibly reluctant. But they would go outside and come back and go outside and come back because they were really afraid. And she said, "Can you help me? What do you think?" And I said to her, maybe, keep them in the house because she would let them go in and out at will. And so she said, "Oh, but I don't want them to go to the bathroom everywhere." I said, "Get a litter box. Get a litter box." And she sent me pictures after. This is probably 2, 3 weeks after. And there are the raccoons. They have their own litter box. They eat side by side with the dogs. And so for now, they're okay with that setup. So it, when I say you can train, you can, you figure it out. This happens. It does work.
Yeah.
It's funny. This was, oh gosh, this has to be 10 years ago, just about by now. This woman called me um, to the middle of the night, and her cow had just given birth, and the mother was rejecting the calf, and like violently kept kicking the calf, you know, pushing the calf, really hurting the calf. She said, "What do you think?" And I thought back to my experience when I worked at the Gentle Barn in California. Gentle Barn is like a premier pet sanctuary, animal sanctuary. If you don't know what it is, it's honestly, I think, should be the model for any other sanctuary that's set up. And I thought back to my experience there, and I said to the woman, "Do you have another cow who is maybe more maternalistic or open, and you could try putting the calf with her?" And she said, "I do." She had this cow that was handicapped. So she herself had been pushed aside by the rest of her herd. And so the woman tried bringing the calf to this other cow, and it worked. The other cow adopted the calf and is raising it as her own.
Oh,
So, yeah.
That's
And
cool.
that had happened at the Gentle Barn where they had this orphaned calf, and they were like, "What do we do?" They put it in with another one of their cows who had always never taken care of her own calf, but she started to feed him and take care of him. So that was, I thought this was worth a try.
it's wonderful to see in nature.
That's great.
If we follow nature and look at nature, what it does, it replicates.
Absolutely. They're extremely, extremely versatile, and they adapt much more than we give them credit for.
Wow.
This has been great. I think
Yeah.
we covered a lot of territory for people to hear and listen, and
Right.
any closing.
We did.
Do you have anything? Joanne, you want?
I'm just grateful that you're here because
Yeah.
especially during the holidays, it's really important for people to hear these
It
nuggets of
is.
wisdom.
For our
It
listeners,
is. And I'm certainly going to put this on my social media because a lot of good information came out of this,
Yeah, it
and
is.
people can use it.
Right. Mary does wonderful work. We're going to have all your information listed below, how you could contact
you.
Zenzu, right? Zenzu.
Zenzu. Yep.
Okay. And it's Mary Albanese. And also go back because we have archived episodes, and it was back on April 3rd. And that was a different version because we were talking more about, he had pictures and everything of the pets and different
Yes.
stories.
Different ones that
around.
I'd worked with.
So that was wonderful also. And you could reach out to Mary for your pet situations if, you have questions or whatever. I'm sure she'll be able to help you with that. And thank you so much for taking the time here
Yes.
during this.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank
It was,
you both
that was
so much.
wonderful. It was
You'll be-
wonderful.
It's always a good time with
be-
you ladies.
You'll be our house pet communicator.
That's it. That's it.
So,
Your resident animal communicator.
Yes, you'll be
Oh my
back. You'll be
gosh.
back again. And thank you everybody for watching, listening. Please share this. Go down below. There's a link to. I always say we don't want to grow this way. Grow
It's right.
And leave comments because we love to see your comments.
Yes, please comments and anything you would like to hear about for upcoming episodes. We have a variety of everything, and share it with others. And always from our hearts to yours in love, and be the beautiful beacons of light that you are, and just shine it out into the world because we need this.
Yes.
Thanks,
Practice more kindness out there too. The world
Yes.
needs it now more than ever.
and have a wonderful,
Absolutely.
have wonderful, blessed, peaceful holidays.
Yes.
Yes.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Till next time,
All right.
guys. See you. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.